my I'll cut this, but
welcome back to another episode of the ALG podcast. As always, I am your co-host John Arpino, otherwise known as J-Arb's Journey on Instagram. I am joined alongside my partner in crime, my tag team partner, David Roden, otherwise known as Fit_D-Rock. And as always, tonight's podcast is brought to you by the fine folks at Wild Chips. Guys, if you are looking for a chip alternative, I am talking about 100% white meat chicken breast. I am talking about 100% organic egg whites. And that's it. That's the whole ingredient list. If that interests you, go check out Wild Chips on Instagram,
I'm not gonna
on their
lie,
website.
that sounds pretty dope.
Oh, they're dope. And you can use the promo code TheGainsInBetween at checkout, and that'll give you money off. So go check them out. They're a really great sponsor, great folks, food's good, and that's really it. So, David, first of all, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, new me. New Year's resolutions, guys. Come on, how are we doing?
Not me. New Year, same dick.
That's always a fun one. It's like I've gotten to a point now where New Year's resolutions are just, I mean, it's a good way to self-reflect, all that kind of stuff. But we got to get over ourselves with this habitual pattern of doing things, setting a standard we can't hold ourselves to, and then quitting 2 weeks in.
Absolutely. Which, if you were a part of the ALG community call last week, then you kind of heard my little synopsis on, New Year's resolutions and why I don't truly believe in them. And why I think that they ultimately set you up for failure. I'm not going to go into that right now, but if you want to hear more stuff like that, make sure you join us each and every single Wednesday night on the Accountable Life Group community call, which is absolutely free. And you can find the link to that in the link section of this podcast.
Yeah, and in the Facebook community.
Yep. So anyway, David, what's tonight's topic?
Tonight's topic, it's a fun conversation because there is such a balance within this sequence, which is structure versus flexibility in building a long-term stable lifestyle change. Because, I mean, it comes from, we need to talk about from both sides. You got the people that are structure and just like fear-based fixators where it's like, they got to hit their macros exactly. They can only have specific foods exactly when they want to, whenever they want to. And if they're the ones that, hey, we've been there where you're so structured, every family get together, you take your own meal, which has its place. But there also has to be a point in time where it's like, all right, flexibility, being able to, guess what, still eat out, do different things, and live in a healthy and happy body. And trying to find that balance. And there's the flip side of the coin, which is the intuitive eaters that there's a balance to it and all that kind of stuff. But if I intuitively ate how I based upon how I feel every single day, your boy would be 400 pounds again.
Absolutely.
And so, John, let's have a fun conversation because we've also both done it. Like, we've both had this extreme structure and then also the flexibility and trying to find that happy medium between. So start with me like early on in your journey because I know you had this experience when it came to weight loss surgery because of some of the hard structure points that the doctors and different stuff tell you. What were some of those heavy structure points that were good to start, but then you've learned how to be more flexible with?
So I think first and foremost, so if you have no knowledge or experience when it comes to the bariatric kind of route of things, there is a laundry list of what I call the bariatric handbook that you get given before surgery. And basically it's a step-by-step guide. It's the do's and do nots of, having bariatric surgery and the foods that you need to stay away from for the first 6 months to a year, stuff like that. So one of the things that they heavily grind into you as a bariatric patient is obviously carbs. You can't have carbs for, I believe, oh God, I'm so far out now. I believe it's the first 6 months to a year. They recommend that you don't, your carbs are very minimal, if any at all. And also staying away from carbonated beverages. So for me, personally, I stood away from carbs for probably the first 2.5 to 3 years of my journey. like
Gotcha.
like a good amount of carbs. You know what I mean? Like I was, you know,
And
when
that
I
included even like vegetables and stuff, or just like limiting rice and bread and stuff like that?
Yeah, rice and bread and your classic carbs. Like when you think of a carb, those things that come to mind. Because when I hear carb, I don't think of carrots and bullshit like that. But yeah, so you know, I stood away from carbs like they were the goddamn plague, man. Like I was not touching anything. And I remember when Steve was, you know, trying to implement carbs into my diet, and you know, it just got to the point where I was so burnt out, you know, carbs are fuel, right? So like I was running on no fuel while working out and lifting for 2 years, and it got to the point where like Steve was just like, dude, you're killing yourself. Like you're running on empty all of the time. And that's the reason why you're burning out within the first 10 minutes of trying to lift. Like, you can't live your life that way. And I remember him, like, just being like, all right, we're going to start you off with 2 ounces of carbs. Okay? And that was too much at first.
And it was what, white rice or something?
It was just white rice. It's always been white rice for me. So
Gotcha.
I was deathly afraid. Like, I really thought, like, I don't know what I thought. I didn't know if I thought, like, I was just going to instantly put back on all the weight, if, like, I was going to have a negative reaction, you know, to my body trying to break down the carbs. And, you know, slowly but surely I implemented the carbs. But, again, I was very fearful. Probably up to right when I did the bodybuilding show, you know, 2 years ago now. Well, we're in 2023. So... you know, that's when I was totally like, okay, I can't be anti-carb anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not working. Being anti-carb is not working for me. And yeah, like I had to break that barrier, which I think that was the hardest part, was breaking the barrier between, like, giving up carbs was hard, right? Like that was a battle within itself. But then trying to reintroduce them on a consistent basis after being away from them for so long and creating this monster in my head that didn't exist, that was the hardest thing to do. Because then I was sitting there and I was like, I don't want to eat this, or I'd like push it off to the side, or I'd like eat like some of it and not finish it. You know what I mean? Because it was just so ingrained to me that carbs are bad, carbs are bad, carbs are bad, carbs are bad. So,
no, 100%. Like carbs make you fat. Carbs make you fat. Now, obviously, you can overconsume carbs and you can overconsume fat till you're fat again. Like this isn't rocket science. But no, it is crazy how I was in the same ballpark. Not as extreme, but even me, like I went, like my first program was carb cycling,
right? And
I had high carb days and low carb days, and then that kind of put me onto the road of going more lower carb, and I'm like, ooh, I like this. I'm losing weight faster. And so I'm cutting out more and more carbs. I'm getting into a larger and larger deficit, people. But I got hooked on it. And so there was a long period of time, I would say a solid 6 months pushing a year into my journey, where I was significantly low carb for a large percentage. Now, I still did indulgence meals and all that kind of stuff. So I still had pizza and
I wasn't doing that.
See, I still had balance, but at the same time, like when I considered myself on, it was basically high protein, low carb, moderate fat. Like and I remember having discussions with my dad about it, like saying how even kind of pushing down the carbs are bad, or not necessarily bad, but it's the carbs that make you fat. Right. And then here's my dad going, well, fat can make you fat too. And I'm like, well, and so I definitely went down that rigidity standpoint of low carb for all the way until I got into strength training and bodybuilding. I was very similar on that standpoint, where when it was hyper focusing on weight loss in and of itself, you get hooked on the low carb, because obviously lower carb, you have less water. Less water makes you lose weight faster. Obviously it slows down after you do it for a while, just because that's the way it is. But
you have nothing to take away from.
Exactly. And so, but it is funny how we both went down this low carb phase. And the whole thing is, like, we sit here and go, like, at least for me, I'm not against low carb. I think it has its place, and people in this community, people in the community that are doing incredible. They do a relatively low carb lifestyle, and that's fine. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. The issue is when it becomes so structured and so rigid that you're fearing carbs.
Right, that's a problem.
That's an issue.
Yeah.
Like, that's an issue. Yeah.
Because, like, here's the thing. We're supposed to, no one tells you this, right? Like, no one ever tells you this when you start a weight loss journey. But, like, you are supposed to be able to enjoy life.
Oh, no.
And, like, I know that's really hard. Like, it's a hard concept to really wrap your head around. But, like,
and there's some fat phobia in that.
Yeah.
That's a fat phobia thing I 100% agree with, which is like, hey, it's okay to see someone who's relatively fit eat pizza and ice cream, but as soon as you see a fat person doing it, you're like, you can't do that. And It's like, fuck you. I can do that from time to time. Now, I obviously should still lose weight, but like, hey, if you're able to do it from time to time and be fine, shut the fuck up.
Right. 100%. 1,000%. Because, what happens is, and we don't realize this, but like, we slowly start taking ourselves out of those social situations where it would arise that we would have to eat carbs. You know, like, as weird as that sounds, like, I found myself not wanting to go to birthday parties, to family events, to, whatever with my friends because there's no food options for me. You know what I mean? And like, there's only so many times where you're even able to bring your own food somewhere. Like, which I highly recommend, like, depending on what you're doing in your journey, if you're a bodybuilder or if you're someone who's, like, very focused on losing weight right now, bring your meals. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm talking to the people right now that are not finding balance in their life, and they're missing out on the small joys of life constantly. You know what I mean? But yeah, like, I mentioned this in my Instagram post 2 weeks ago, right after Christmas. And I was like, this was the first year where I allowed myself total fuck-its, for the holiday season. Just within those 2 days, like Christmas and Christmas Eve, fuck-its. New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, fuck-its.
All right, give me some fuck-its. What were you doing?
Oh, I ate a lot of, like, like frozen appetizers. Like, I'm talking like the frozen egg rolls, pigs in a blanket, stuff like that. So my mom made all those for like New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. I had a fuck ton of those. But Christmas Eve, for the first time in Christmas Day for the first time in years, I allowed myself to have homemade pasta. You know what I mean? Like, my stepmom, every year, she makes pasta. I haven't had real pasta. I don't really ever eat real pasta. Let's be honest. I'm not going to lie. Because it's just not something that I need to have. But yeah, like, I enjoyed 2 fat helpings of that. I enjoyed a lot of dessert. I had a lot of bread. This is the first year that I can say I ate bread, like loaves of Italian bread, in a very, very long time. And for me, that was a really, really big accomplishment. Because I have spent years missing out on these things. I'm not going to say for no reason, but like, in the grand scheme of life, those 4 days, if I was perfect for every day of those years, except for those 4 days, my results wouldn't be any different than they are right now. Like, at all. And it's a very hard concept to accept.
And I see, and I try to say this in the most empathetic and respectful way, because for me, balance was always a huge part of the process for me. So, like, I did have indulgence meals. That's why it took me 3 years to drop the first 200 pounds, the original 200. It took me 3 years because once a week, twice a week, I would have pizza and Taco Bell and all this kind of shit. That definitely slows shit down. And but my big thing with that is, was I a quote unquote food addict or use food for coping mechanisms at 400 pounds? Absolutely. Like, because even then there were points in time where I would eat foods that I was pissed at myself that I ate after I ate them with no relatively limited control in doing it. Like, not having one slice of pizza, eating an entire fucking Jets pizza, even in the midst of my journey, all this kind of stuff. So this idea that I didn't deal with food control issues, absolutely, like, you don't get to fucking 400 pounds without it. However, I challenge some people that you see on the internet that say they're food addicts. and they believe that they have to hinder themselves from certain foods for the rest of their fucking life. And again, if that's the strategy you want to take, hey, if you're living a healthy and happy life and you're doing great, I don't think of you any less for doing that strategy.
Can I speak on that?
Yeah.
That topic that you're saying right now?
Yeah.
So like, I've said this on here numerous times. I mean, like, you know this. So like for me, there was a very big portion of my life where I definitely was a food addict, right? Mm-hmm. But I was a food addict because food was not just food for me. It was a security blanket in life. You know what I mean? And my biggest security blanket in life was always pizza. Mm-hmm. And I had dropped the pizza for 7 years. 7 years straight, I didn't have a slice of pizza. You know, from the day I decided to start my journey up until the day after my wedding.
Yeah, it was the day after your wedding. Yep.
Yeah, the day after my wedding, I had my first slice of pizza, right? And
was it a really bad slice of pizza?
It was so good. Oh, it was so good. And I will tell you.
Was it Jets pizza?
I ate a lot of that pizza. I had like, I probably took down half a pie of pizza, if not more, that time. You know what I mean? But like, for me, it was a moment of growth because I never thought I was going to be able to do that, because for me it was like I always had this idea in my head that if I introduced it once, I would allow myself to have it all the time.
Yep.
Right? And obviously I made an agreement with my wife that wouldn't be the case, and if I was trying to make that the case, then to stop me. You know what I mean? So I hadn't had... So... Whatever, had the pizza, whatever. It was great. It was so good. Didn't have pizza. Now, I had to challenge myself again because I needed to know that I could walk into a pizzeria, order 1 or 2 slices, and be good with that. You know what I mean? So 2 weeks ago, my wife and I went out, and we went to a bar, and we had a couple of drinks, and we had a good time, and we were in Manhattan, and as we were leaving, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. We were both starving, and the only thing open was a pizza place across the street. So I looked at my wife, and I said, "Do you want to have pizza?" And she said, "You never have to ask me if I want to have pizza." And she was like, "Do you want to have pizza?" And I was like, yeah, I do. I had 2 slices of pizza, got in an Uber, didn't think about it afterward, didn't think about it the next day, hadn't thought about it till right now. You know what I mean? And I've been around pizza since that moment. You know, so it wasn't like I didn't walk up to the pizza, have the pizza or anything like that. Now, I could have. I know that I can limit myself now, and I know that I can have it. But again, time and place of everything. Yep. You know, I'm not taking away that time and place. But it is something that you can grow past because, like, again, I made pizza public enemy number 1 throughout this whole weight loss journey that I had. And looking back, I can't say that I wouldn't have done it the same. I think I had to do it the way that I did it because
that's my whole thing.
Yeah, I had to reprogram my mind, but now I'm in a better spot mentally.
Yes. And that's my number one thing, which is like, if you want to say your vice is pizza, say your vice is cookies, say your vice, I don't care what the fucking vice is. Say it's tomato salad. I don't care. If you need to, I don't know how tomato salad's going to make you unhealthy.
You'd be great. if your vice
a lot of fucking tomato salad.
You'd be fine. Yeah.
But just the idea, if you want to limit yourself or cut it off for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, I don't care.
Right.
My argument would be, my challenge for you would be, don't allow yourself to make your decisions based upon fear forever.
Right.
And that's my whole thing with that whole thing is, hey, I've just seen different pages, and I respect these people. They've done fucking incredible jobs, and they're doing incredible in their journey. If they want to take this hyper restrictive on specific foods because they feel like they need to, I don't bust them for doing it. I just would say I would challenge them to the idea that you are in more control than you think you are, and there is light at the end of the tunnel to build structure and flexibility. And you may fuck up. Like, my whole thing is, okay, fine, try it again, and if you fuck up, okay, gone. I can't do it. Fine, just try. Just try to build some flexibility, just like how you build a bicep. Try to work on building some flexibility muscles I think your long-term quality of life will thank you for it. But again, hey, if you want to be hyper-structured and that works for you and you're truly happy with what you're doing, keep doing it.
Absolutely.
I would just challenge you on
a little flexibility.
A little bit of flexibility because, hey, we're all going to die at 85. So you might as well, whatever that fucking pizza, whatever that vice is for you. Again, at the end of the day,
But again, we're talking to people that are in a spot where they can have flexibility. We're not saying this to the people that by having that treat that they know is going to set them off is going to put them back 15 steps on their journey. Mm-hmm. We don't want that. Binge eating is real. That's a real thing. There's triggers for that, and we're not trying to say that there's not. So don't listen to this podcast and your trigger binge is Taco Bell, and you pull into a Taco Bell parking lot and walk in and be like, "Well, John and David said it was fine. I need a little flexibility in my life." That's not what we're talking about.
And then 4 straight days at Taco Bell.
Exactly. We're talking about one day here. We're talking about one day, one moment, one meal.
Well, I still go back to this whole thing when you really, because of the getting into bodybuilding and your structure and starting to incorporate more carbs, and you started to have those transitions. You made that post talking about pizza or whatever. I still remember it vividly, where that guy goes, "Way to be a fucking leader, John, telling people to eat bad foods."
Oh yeah,
and
I know. Poured my heart out.
You poured your heart out saying how you've been hiding from pizza for almost a decade, and saying it's okay to have some pizza from time to time, and he just fucking kicks you right in the dick.
And this is why I didn't want to do this. You, sir, are the reason.
Yeah, a true leader shares things that necessarily what you don't want to hear, but sometimes you need to hear.
Absolutely.
And no, but 100%. But let's flip side of the coin here. We talked a lot about people that are hyper structured. Mm-hmm. Let's flip side of the coin. Flexibility. People who have too much flexibility and they need more structure. I think that plays a huge role as well. I think a very
that's called not having self-control.
Yeah, not having self-control or structure allows you to not fall on easy fucking hurdles. Like a great example for me, a lot of people who deal with hunger at night. And there's a main reason why a lot of people do that, because they starve themselves through lack of structure throughout the day. They don't eat breakfast. They maybe have no lunch, and they're go, and they barely had anything, and then they hit 7 o'clock, and they just turn into a fucking bear at 9, and they're wondering why they're starving their ass off, or they're so hungry at 9 o'clock. Well, because you didn't eat throughout the fucking day. And so, one of the first things I recommend to people, if you are a bear at night, you need to set structure that you eat more protein and earlier in your day so you can feel fuller going into the evening so you don't get caught in that situation. What are some different structures that have helped you in different ways?
Giving myself no other option other than meal prepping. Minimum Monday to Friday. Minimum. Work week has to be meal prepped. No, there's no bargaining that. I don't like to give myself any options during the week. That's go for me. That's, we're in work mode. And if we're working, then we're working all facets of life. That's definitely just the forefront. That's what made that's made me the most structured is that.
Yeah, it's knowing during the work week I'm in structure mode. My food's structured, my work's structured. I just have a plan for the week. You're a little more lackadaisical and flexible on the weekends, but you're locked in during the week.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you?
Okay. I would say biggest one for me is when it comes to structure is meal prep too, where it's just I make 80% of my meals at home. There's just so much power in that structure because number one, you cook foods you fucking like. Number two, it's cheaper than going out to any. There isn't a meal you can have out that isn't 50 to 80% cheaper making it at home. And so, like, and you know exactly what you're eating. Where when you go to a restaurant, you don't know how much olive oil they're putting in there, whatever. You don't know how much butter they're putting in, whatever. And so that's what happens so often when you constantly eat out. Yeah. Is the meals themselves are not necessarily bad. It's not like when you go out to a restaurant, pasta is bad. But what happens is when you go to a restaurant, why does pasta taste so fucking good at Olive Garden? Except for the fact that, I knew you were going to get mad I said that. The fact is they put so much olive oil. They put so much butter. It's okay having some.
Right.
But they put so much, and their portion sizes are so big that you don't understand what you're eating, where you could get your pasta fix and eat it on 500 calories, 600 calories. But what happens when you go to a restaurant and you get pasta, it's 1,400, it's 1,500, and you just don't understand that because you're being too flexible with how often you eat out and all that kind of stuff.
I think the perfect example, I know you're a really big Cheesecake Factory fan.
Oh, daddy, yes, talk dirty to me.
So I went to Cheesecake Factory over the weekend for probably the first time in maybe 3 or 4 years, right? Like I don't frequent Cheesecake Factory like that. But I was running errands with my brother, and my brother was like, "You want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, we could go." So, for those that don't know, their menu is a Bible, right?
It's fucking massive.
Yeah, there's no reason for it to be that big.
And it's all fucking good. I don't know how they do it.
But so on their regular menu, there is not a single item on that menu that is lower than 1,200 calories.
Yep, that's why I go to the Skinnylicious menu.
Right, now they have the Skinnylicious menu, but like. Which I was thinking of you the whole time that I was there. But like just looking at it, like so if they, I'm glad that they made the law that you need to put the calorie content next to the food now, like because it gives you so much perspective of what you're actually eating.
Yeah, it's like going to a retail shop and you don't know what you're buying and what it costs.
Right, exactly. So like. I'm talking like I'm looking at like what I would consider the healthiest options here, right?
On the Skinnylicious or the normal?
No, on the normal menu. I'm looking at what I would consider if I didn't know the calorie the content, what would be the like healthier options? They're not healthy. They're not healthy. So like I didn't want bread, right? Because again, I'm just not a bread guy, every day. I'm just not. Do you know that they don't have wraps at Cheesecake Factory, which I find to be fascinating?
I can see that.
They don't have a single wrap on their menu.
They have sandwiches.
They have a burrito,
burgers, chicken sandwiches. They got some tacos. They got different tacos.
Right, they have different tacos. So what I did was,
which is basically a wrap.
Okay, yeah, and they have something called a Grande XL burrito. But I was like, all right, I guess I didn't like anything on the Skinnylicious menu. I wasn't.
You
nothing
didn't like
was called.
The Tuscan chicken is the titties.
Yeah, I don't order things that have Italian things in it, and no, they don't.
I promise you, the Tuscan chicken from Cheesecake Factory is titties.
I'm sure it is. That's just not me.
Oh, so good.
I have 9 million other restaurants I could take you to that'd be so much better than that. But anyway, so I'm looking at this menu and I'm like, I don't want anything here. Like, it's just nothing is like, hey, pick me. So I got the Turkey Club, and I got it on bib lettuce.
Okay.
But like, even so, like the calorie content, because they wouldn't put it on a fucking tortilla. They're like, oh, we have no wraps. I was like, you have 9 tortillas based fucking things on your menu. Put it on one of those. But anyway, it doesn't make a difference. But that's funny. so like even looking at what you would perceive as a healthy option, when you're out, it's just calorically packed for no reason.
Oh, you have no idea.
A regular turkey club was like almost 2,000 calories if I didn't take it off the bread and put it on a slab of fucking lettuce.
Yep. And that's where you get caught. And so, like, when you're overly flexible when it comes to restaurants, it's not that you can't eat out. It's not that you can't do it. It's just that you would be very surprised how calorie dense some meals you perceive to be healthy are. Because number one, it's oils. It's oils and fats that they load it up because it makes it taste better. There's just no question. But it gets you caught. It really does. And that hyper flexibility. If you're not ready for it, you think you're eating a quote unquote relatively calorie healthy meal, and it's 1,600 calories, and you're expecting 600 to 800. Side note with Cheesecake Factory, they
didn't have your cheesecake on that Skinnylicious menu.
They didn't have the Skinnylicious cheesecake. Oh, see, that's the whole thing. The cheesecake there, number one, it's fucking massive.
Yeah,
and the average cheesecake at calories is like anywhere between 12 and 1,800 for a slice of cheesecake. If you get a regular meal and a cheesecake, you can't leave that building eating less than 3,000 calories.
Right, you already went over your daily recommended. Yeah,
in one meal.
It's disgusting.
But if you get, they do have this like low carb, Skinnylicious cheesecake that I want to say is like 500 calories for a slice.
I was looking for it,
and it's fucking good, and it's 500 calories. So like, especially if you split it with somebody else, 250 calories for a nice little shtick, it works out.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do, but no, it wasn't there, so we didn't get any cheesecake.
Bitches.
But yeah, no, I was really upset. I was like, oh wow, I'm having a David Roden meal today.
I go to Cheesecake Factory with my mom all the time.
I know you do. I know. So, and I was just like, oh, wow, Skinnylicious menu. I already know about this. Blah, blah, blah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
But no, that structure is super important. Like, if you're always eating out, you can just get caught so fucking much, and you think you're making better decisions, and you get caught. So obviously, meal prep, 80% of your meals for great structure. Number two, if
stop
you
eating out.
Yes, like try to limit it, definitely. If you struggle with overeating at night, it's probably because you don't have enough structure during the day. You don't eat enough protein and food early on in your day, and you wonder why you're a fucking starving asshole at 10 o'clock. Like, you didn't eat the whole day, and so then you just hammer 3,000 calories of cookies because you got it there and you're fucking starving. Mm-hmm. So add more food earlier on in your day, especially protein, so you can work on give your body a chance.
Absolutely. And also, guys, when I say meal prep too, I don't meal prep in the traditional sense of meal prep.
Yeah, so you order.
Well, yeah, but take that off the table as well. Everything that I do, I do it in bulk. I don't sit there on a Sunday night and put everything in an individual Tupperware and whatever. Mm-hmm. I weigh as I go. I have a bulk of everything. So I'll have a bulk of rice, I'll have a bulk of vegetable, I'll have a bulk of chicken, and then when it's time to eat, then I'm weighing out and I'm heating up and I'm eating. You know what I mean? It's that process, because you don't have to. Don't make things more complicated than you want them to be. You know what I mean? For me, that works. You know, I'm not the type of person that wants to wash a meal prep container every single fucking day. I'd rather just plop it on a paper plate, heat it up, eat it, and throw it out. But and then another thing that really
you don't
works
like
for
the
me,
trees? That's
no, I hate
up.
Trees. Fuck that. I'd plan another one. And there's the environment activist coming for me.
And 40% of our group is gone.
Gone. So yeah, so even if you don't want to meal prep, I highly suggest always weighing out your food, or at least 80% of the time, weighing out your food before you eat it. That way you just
knowing,
gauge. Yeah, just so you have a little idea. And then for also another thing that my wife and I like to do is I don't like to keep snacks in the house that are not protein based snacks. I'm a big protein snack guy. That's just I just love protein snacks. And two, that are not serving size bags.
Truth. You can get caught.
And I used to hate that as a kid. My mom used to try to do that when I was really
the individuals.
Heavy. And I hated her for it, and I thought it was really annoying because then I just eat 7 of them. But even now today, when it's time for me to have because I like to eat at night. I don't care how much I eat during the day. Whatever, I at the end of my day, I'm going to sit down in front of my television for however long I have, and I'm going to have a snack, and I'm going to watch TV. So, even if it's 2 bags of Quest chips, I know that a bag of Quest chips is only 140 calories. 2 of those is, whatever the math is,
576.
Is it? No, it's not. I'm retarded.
140 times 2 is 280.
Okay, so 280 calories. I'm okay with having 280 calories, but I know it's 280 calories. I know that I'm not going overboard with it. But if you gave me a huge bag of tortilla chips...
Oh, I could eat a whole bag. There's nothing.
They're gone. They're gone. Yeah. You know what I mean? Some habits die hard. You know what I mean? I love to eat a whole package of whatever. Mm-hmm. You know, I have 29 years of experience of eating whole packages of whatever, but I know that I can't do that, so I don't give myself the option.
No, I really like that. Whatever way you have to do to create individual serving sizes so you don't get caught.
Right.
Whether you get the Costco bag and then you put them into baggies that are serving sizes or whatever you need to do. Yeah, be careful buying family-size shit and just thinking you're going to go, oh, yeah, I'm just going to eat one serving.
It's not going to happen.
Good fucking luck.
It's not going to happen.
Some people who have naturally been able to do that since birth, they can get away with it. If you struggle with serving sizes and you're just going to create an opportunity where you just don't know serving sizes, that's just called naivety.
Yeah.
And that goes back into structure. Like flip of the coin, there's so many of these intuitive eating registered dietitians and shit that think that any type of structure is bad and it's an eating disorder. Like weighing out your food is an eating disorder and blah blah blah. It's like, go fuck yourself. Like, now it can be if you have a fear, like if you're a type of person that has to pull out 3 grains of rice because instead of getting 8 ounces, you got 8.02.
Right.
That's an issue. That's an issue. And you're terrified of everything. Well, yeah, you got to learn how to build some more flexibility. But this idea that any type of pillar of structure to keep you on track is disordered and fearful. It's like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Like, your boy's been down 200 pounds for almost a decade now. I still have all my favorite foods from time to time, but I do these structures to keep me in check. If you think that's disordered eating, you can eat my asshole. Like, come on. Like, what do you want? Like, I'm literally doing what most people can. Like, come on.
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong. I see these, and it's my favorite is a couple of these intuitive eating people on TikTok that I shit on their fucking life I didn't do. I first did a video just kind of like constructively criticizing, and then they got more sassy with me. I was like, oh, okay. If that's the game you're gonna play, I'm gonna come right back. And it blew my mind seeing a registered dietitian saying a calorie deficit isn't necessary for fat loss or some shit, and she was projecting that a calorie deficit is a diet. And I'm like, no. A calorie deficit is the mechanism which fat loss occurs. You don't have to focus on building a calorie deficit to be in one, a.k.a. low carb, a.k.a. all this kind of stuff. But the mechanistic science behind it is that, guess what? A calorie deficit is needed for fat loss. And she just did this giggly laugh and was like I'm like, you're a fucking sociopath selling a $5,000 intuitive eating course, acting like you're like, huh?
Wait, you did this on live?
It was a TikTok. Yeah, I did it over a couple TikToks. And then she blocked me.
Oh.
Again, no direct hate to intuitive eating. There's pillars that make sense. Like, don't fear individual foods, love yourself, treat yourself with respect. Great stuff. Then it turns into zealot culture, like any type of structured eating is a disorder. It's like, oh, fuck you.
Intuitive eating is not made for people that need to lose weight. Period.
Yeah. Or extreme weight. Let's put it that way. Like,
right, extreme weight. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So finishing up, as we're kind of wrapping this up. Honestly, I dig this podcast. This is a really good podcast episode. Sometimes, shout out to ChatGPT for helping us podcast ideas, because it just really helps with because all the time we're trying to figure it all out, and it's like there's only so many things that John and I can think about on the top of our head. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, we do that, and it just gives us 50 out. I'm like, oh, I like this one.
You could never work for the Krusty Krab.
Why? Oh, because I give out the...
You just give out the fucking secret to everything.
Oh, yeah, I don't care. I'm transparent to a fault.
No, I know. I'm only kidding.
I'm giving that McDonald's sauce, secret sauce. KFC. Don't hire me, KFC, because I'll give away your secret.
You ever had Dave's Hot Chicken? That's so good.
Is it? I've never even heard of it.
I don't know. They're like really big in California. They started, and now they just opened up one in Brooklyn, and everyone's going nuts about it. So we went the other night. Holy fuck, it's good.
Really?
Oh God, it's like one of the only like crazes that I could ever say, oh, this lived the hype. Like this lived up to the hype.
Interesting. Never heard of it.
And it's just like a regular Nashville hot chicken. Like that's all it is.
When you say hot, like as in spicy, or as in like they're warm? Like they're...
Oh no, I mean as in like there's 5 different levels of spice, and the top one is Reaper.
And it just will fuck you up.
Oh,
you're
fuck you
shitting
up.
blood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
like
not a hot guy,
spice.
so I
Yeah.
got a nice little mild, which is all flavor, not really burning my face.
That's what I'm
off.
saying. I like flavor.
Yeah.
But it's heat for the sake of heat. No, thank
heat
you.
for the sake of heat is not my forte. But this was good. But that brings me back to the flexibility thing, because like I'm saying this for a reason. Like me 2 years ago, if my wife would have suggested, "Hey, let's try this chicken place that's all over the internet that I really want to try," I would have probably been like, no. Like,
I'll have my meal prep.
Yeah, you try it and you let me know how it is.
Yeah.
You know, it was.
And
good.
look at you. You're still consistent. Your weight's staying solid, and it's crazy.
Really, yeah,
It's wild.
yeah.
All right,
It's
close
great.
them up there, Mr. Arpino.
Okay, there, Sally.
You sounded just like me. That was actually terrifying.
No, I don't know. I don't even know where it came from. It just kind of happened.
That's funny.
Okay, we've been doing this way too long.
Way too long. You're a little Canadian boy.
I have a thing for the Midwest right now. I'm on a Midwest kick. Anyway, you can follow us at the Accountable Life Group on Instagram, across all social media platforms. You can join us each and every single Wednesday night for the ALG community call, which goes down exclusively on Zoom. But the only way you're going to get that Zoom link is if you join the Accountable Life community page on Facebook. So make sure you go and do that. You can follow me at JARPS Journey. That's JARPS_Journey. You can follow him at fit_DRock. Again, Wild Chips, save the gains in between. That's the gains with a Z in between. Saves you cash. And, shit. Happy 2023. I hope that you guys enjoyed this podcast. If you did, 5-star rate and review it. Share it with a friend. That's all I got. You got anything?
Stay beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Stay sexy, stay accountable, stay beautiful, stay sexy. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Toodles.